Yes, here we go again, folks. As of course, once again, it's Friday night and it's just after 9 o'clock. And as I always say, you know what that means? It must be time for that Friday feeling. And yes, it was Jota that appeared this time because the other guy that's been reminding us what time it is, he might be off-ski. So yeah, I'm preparing for that one already. So it's now Jota that's popping up to tell us, yes, indeed, it is that Friday feeling here on the bus. Thanks for coming along and joining us on this fine Friday evening. And as you can see, there's a big weekend coming up. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. And once again, there's a triple threat of Tim's, the same triple threat that were on last Friday. Of course, it is tradition. If I'm on a Friday night, then there's one guy who has to be here. He's a staple of the Friday nights. He is Canada's favourite Tim. He is the wise man. He is a beard of knowledge, as I always like to say. It is Liam Greenlaw. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing brilliant. Doing a lot better than I was the other day. I think we got a few things to discuss. It'd be nice to hear some people's opinions and ask some questions as well, because I think we've got to look at the Celtic team, not just the performance, but start looking at what direction are we headed right now. And I mean, you know, at this stage, got more questions than you have answers, and but you're starting to see some really, really weird patterns to develop within this this saga, this soap opera, because it's so beyond the pitch, you know.
No, we've got a lot. We've got a lot to get into. I want to hear you guys obviously. I imagine I can take a guess what your take is on Tuesday night, but also I'd like to hear your opinions on that. And of course, we will look ahead to some other things, the game at the weekend, and of course, Europa League draw. And joining us to do that as well, just like he did last Friday, Johnny, you're back again for another week, so it's good to see you again. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing fine. Yeah, much like Liam, a lot better than I was on Wednesday night. Was it
Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday night. Yeah, a lot better than I was on Tuesday night. But the worst thing about Tuesday night was, for me anyway, it wasn't a surprise. I was not confident even before we played them in the first leg. I know a lot of people were quite confident. Couldn't quite figure out where that confidence was coming from and what was, you know, what made people feel confident about it. Because I wasn't. I just had this shit feeling about it right from the off as soon as we knew it was them. And unfortunately, the one time I wanted to be wrong turned out to be right. It was just pitiful, woeful, awful. Two of the worst games of football that I've seen in a long time, and certainly involving Celtic. It was just dire. Yeah. But personally, everyone's good in the garden. So yeah.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So we'll have another Friday therapy session. We'll call it that, because it tends to be a regular thing on a Friday night here on the bus. Here we do like have a wee therapy session, just vent and get it all out of our systems. And yes, we will do that. And as I said, we will be looking ahead to the Europa League draw tonight and the Rangers game. And there's a bit of transfer activity going on as well. A certain Michel-Ange Balikwisha has finally decided to arrive in the final week of the window. There you go. I called it. I'm not certainly happy that I called it, because he should have been here weeks ago, months ago maybe. And I did notice as well that in the Jerry McCulloch generic interview, or whoever it is that does it with him, there was no mention of the usual question of, so when were you first made aware of Celtic's interest? It's interesting how they forgot to put that question in there. And we won't talk about him. We're talking about Sarrachi as well. He's obviously appeared in Will. Kasper Dolberg be in the door soon. So again, all these things are on the agenda tonight. But before we go any further, of course, you know what you can do, folks. You can do all that good stuff. You can help out the channel massively with all the different bits and bobs we've got going on. We had a bit of a surge in subscribers through the week. I wonder why. I wonder what could have possibly happened. And thank you to the 6,600 plus views on the post-match show from Tuesday night with myself and Terry. Yeah, I say Terry was quite embracing of the Rangers fans that probably came along to watch. Fair play, as he said, we've laughed at them enough times, and there was a few of them were on okay behaviour. A few of them couldn't behave and had to get clamped, sadly. But at the end of the day, it's another view, it's another interaction for the channel, and that helps us out massively. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much. If you are, of course, of Celtic persuasion and you did discover us through the week and obviously subscribed, and thanks for doing that as well. To say we did get a massive boost. And if you discover us tonight, then by all means, hit the subscribe button if you like the cut of our jib, if you like what we're selling here on the Boys on the Bus. Let's see who's in our comment section tonight. Let's see who's joined us. So we have got Anne is here, Jim C is here, Ian is here, Terry is here. Just talking about him. His ears must have been burning. There he is. Patrick Lachlan is in, Jack Jones in, Graham Tyrrell, of course, he's here. He's the Blackton as usual. What else have we got? James Kennedy is in as well. 1888 is here. And yeah, take your usual seats, guys, for the ride. And what else can you do as well? Of course, you can hit the like button. That, of course, does help out massively. The old algorithms gets us recommended to more people. You can remember hit the bell notification, of course, because when we're on the road, you'll be notified. And yeah, continue to share the link of the far and wide. I've noticed a real surge as well recently in people who watched us on the Boise bus that had no idea that we were here now. I've seen a few comments like that flying around where they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know that you were here." Yes, we are. We are indeed here. The Boys on the Bus. That's where you can find us now. If you like your audio downloads rather than sitting in front of a computer or a TV and watching us, you can get the audio of every show down below. There is a link to SoundCloud. You can find that in there. And yeah, I think that's all the good stuff done and out the way. And yeah, we can get this show on the road. So Europa League draw was today. So obviously going into it, I said last Friday before the Kairat game was played, I'm very much the opinion I don't really mind if we're in Champions League, Europa League. I think there's some good teams in this Europa League. We have drawn, I would say, a couple of those teams anyway. And of course, we'll get on to talking about the current squad strength and how we think we'll do. I think now, right now, as it stands, probably not very good. So we've got a few days to fix that. But of course, the draw, in case you missed it, came out something like this. So I will move the banner. So obviously we got Roma, we got SC Braga, we got Sturm Graz, and we got FC Utrecht. They are the home teams on the left-hand side, and the away games, we got Feyenoord, we got Red Star Belgrade, we got Midtjylland, and we got Bologna. So right off the bat, I think, Liam, the first one that stands out there, because when it comes to the Europa League, my opinion as well on the draw is if we're in the Champions League, I want Celtic to get a favourable draw because the ratio of good teams in that is obviously higher and you want us to at least compete. When we're in the Europa League, I always want a bit of glamour in there. I want a heavyweight because I want us to test ourselves against the best possible teams that we can in the Europa League, and it helps to get some favourable ones. Roma, well, literally the highest ranked team that you could possibly get in pot one. So that's obviously the box office tie. It will be at Celtic Park. We don't know the dates yet, but that one does stand out, doesn't it, Liam? That one is, because let's be honest, Roma are a better team than some of the teams we actually played, ironically, in the Champions League last season, better than the likes of Dynamo Zagreb and Slovan Bratislava and Young Boys of Bern. So this is a heavyweight contest in the Europa League, I would say, Celtic against Roma.
Yeah, it's a different vibe in Rome when Lazio's playing and when Roma's playing. Mm-hmm. You can sense it. Roma's, I don't know, they're one of those romantic teams like us.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think they've, you know, they've just got a history to them as well, and, you know, a fan base as well that's similar to ours in a lot of senses as well. Yeah, that's one of just big games you want to see. You know, it's iconic jerseys playing against each other. And no matter where Roma is in the league or wherever it is, you want to go and see them. I was fortunate enough to be in Toronto when Celtic played Roma in the Sky Dome in Toronto, and it was unbelievable. And it was amazing. There was so many Roma fans there as well. Yeah. And it was a brilliant night because the crowd got along, and it was just a great night in the sun and all that. The bars were filled and stuff like that. So you hope that would be there as well. I mean, it's just a shame we don't have that game in Rome as well, because it's it's a great city to watch a football game in that Olympic Stadium, and just everything around it. I mean, even watching a game in like Plaza de Fiore or something like that is brilliant. So, I mean, if we're looking at this just as like a travel type thing, you know, where you get to support Celtic and, you know, see some big name teams, and, you know, it's box office. This is a sport entertainment sort of part of the gig. You know, your favourite wrestlers are coming to Glasgow, and Some are good, some are old, some are new. Yeah, some you've heard, some you haven't. It's just, still rather be in the Champions League, Phil. But as it's just sports entertainment at this point. I feel we're settling out. We're just entertaining ourselves. I always say Celtic is especially now with Desmond, right? Bourgeois amusements and peasant distractions. And right now we're in the bourgeois amusement phase.
Was the in terms of like the teams as well, Johnny, one of the things that stood out to me was because when it comes to this, well, because the Europa League can have some far out teams in it, I think we've done pretty well in terms of travel, because we're going to get the Thursday schedule with the Sunday games. There's going to be games moved. So you've only got a 3-day window between games and your domestic game at the weekend. The 4 away ties that we got aren't too bad in terms of travel, because again, we've got the Netherlands for Feyenoord. Serbia for Red Star Belgrade is also going to be the furthest one, but it's not exactly Kazakhstan, is it? Or going to somewhere like Azerbaijan or, one of those types. Going to Denmark for Midtjylland, and we're going to Italy for Bologna. So I think in terms of our away travel, that's actually been quite a lucky one. So say we've had over the years some quite wild travels in the Europa League. So it's good to see that, because I think 2 of the games are getting moved for the Europa League. I saw the fixtures the other day. Are both games at Tynecastle this season fall right after the Europa League fixture, so they would be getting moved, and you don't want to have like a long, ridiculous travel before going to a place like Tynecastle. So, Johnny, I think we've kind of lucked in there with the 4 away teams that we've got just for that point of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It wasn't something I actually given any thought to until you mentioned it there. But yeah, that is a good thing, and it's a good thing for those fans that are going to make those trips. There's a couple of nice places there. I would imagine going out to the Feyenoord game will be quite a nice little trip over to Holland there, and the Bologna one will be another one that I would have thought people would be quite interested to go to Bologna. I've been to Bologna. It's a very nice city. Just had a couple of trips there with work, and yeah, it's a nice little city to have a little wander about.
Lewis Ferguson's still out there as well, playing for Bologna.
Of course, yeah. Yep. But unlike Liam, I'm actually quite glad we've got the Roma game at home, because it's you said they were the top ranked team we could. They were
literally the highest coefficient in pot 1. They were the highest ranked team you could have got, and we got them.
Which would suggest that that's going to be the toughest game that we could possibly have. Yeah. But also it gives more Celtic supporters the opportunity to actually see them. Be at that game and see them in the flesh. I couldn't tell you any Roma players at the moment, I don't think.
There was one on the screen. Graham Tyrrell's just mentioned a boy whose name was floating around linked with us, and in the end we had no chance. Evan Ferguson signed for Roma. That's right. So he's up front for them.
Yeah, I don't know how he's done. I know in some of his very early games, the pre-season friendlies, he was scoring a few goals. I've got no idea of the level of competition he was up against, but he was a player I would have took. I liked him. Looked like he was going to do really well when he first burst onto the scene at Brighton. Not quite sure what's gone wrong with him there and why he's fell out of favour. When you consider the money that, and I know it's no real barometer, Chelsea were willing to. I think Chelsea were willing to spend something like 100 million on him, but Chelsea spend that on on the new tea lady, But so I think it's not a bad draw for us. So
that's it. I think it could have been a lot worse in terms of the strength as well, because right now I don't think we're in any great shakes right now to take on the best in this competition. So you do need a bit of a mixture, and I think it's came out okay that way. But Liam, I know you always like a good storyline, and there always seems to be one when there's Celtic. So there's a few in this in this competition, or from the teams that we've drawn, a few things that we can link to the past, like having Utrecht and Braga in the same competition. The last time that happened, or the last time we played them in the same season, was Neil Lennon's first season. We played Braga in the Champions League qualifiers. They tanked us over 2 legs, and we dropped into the Europa League qualifiers, and we get tanked off at FC Utrecht. And speaking of FC Utrecht, and you want a storyline, you want a headline, Liam, Vasilius Barkas is the goalkeeper for FC Utrecht. Should we start to prepare ourselves for the inevitable? What's going to happen here?
Oh, mate, you know it. I wonder if he's still got those big welder's gloves he used to wear.
Hologram hands, I hope he's got them.
Looked like they've been tipped in latex or something like that for safety gloves. Mate, you know it's going to happen. You know it.
Oh, no.
Just, it has to. He's going to be Spider-Man crossed with Octopus Man that night with the extra superpower we don't know what he's developing the new. And, you know, for our firepower, I don't know. We'll probably not even test him.
Oh, just to see him pull off a save would be wild.
Yeah, he could leave his gloves in the house and just no wear them at all. Who knows?
If we can't test him, and I know he did play against us before for Athens, and I think we kind of signed him on the basis of that, then yeah, the game's gone if we can't test him. But yeah, he is obviously the goalkeeper for Utrecht, so we've got that one to look forward to. And another team as well that we can link as well to the past, Johnny, is Feyenoord. Brendan Rodgers will be hoping that things go a bit better when we go to Rotterdam this time, because we played them just 2 years ago. And that was the start of our Champions League campaign in 2023, and didn't particularly go well. That was the 2-0 loss, and
nice.
2% off in a matter of minutes, didn't we? Aye, it was dreadful. And Calvin Stengs, who we were linked with as well up until a few days ago, but I think he's off to Leicester now. No, Pisa, he signed for Pisa. He scored a free kick that night, which Joe Hart probably could have done better with. But yeah, he'll. I think Brendan will be hoping to right a few wrongs against Feyenoord and return it to Rotterdam there, Johnny.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. Yeah. I remember watching that game. That was I watched that game in Johannesburg, and that was night. Who got
Lagerbielke
and the Norwegian lad.
Home, Odin Thiago home.
Both got sent off, didn't they? Yeah. But yeah, so that was a bit of a disaster. So yeah, we'll be obviously hoping to do better out in that game, because that's one of the away ones, isn't it? Yeah. So to settle for well, obviously Lagerbielke won't be able to do it, but did he score the winner when we got in the home game?
He did. But speaking of him, he plays for Braga. He signed for SC Braga, and guess who we've got as one of the home ties? Lagerbielke's coming back to Celtic Park with SC Braga. I say there's storylines all over the place in this group. There was other ones as well. I saw a thing before the draw talking about how Albin Ajeti plays for FC Basel. They were one of the teams that were in the pot. Obviously, Pauk with Giacomakis and, say it quietly, Greg Taylor. He was in that team, and also Johnny Kenny was in that team as well. No, Joe Kenny. Johnny Kenny's our player. Joe Kenny is at Pauk. So yeah, when I saw the pots, I was like, we're going to get them into it. Greg Taylor's going to.
Did you say Giacomakis there?
Giacomakis now plays for Pauk as well. Yeah.
Oh, does he?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, that's fine. I thought he was still in Mexico.
No, he's moved again, because that's the thing about Giacomakis. If you actually look at his career, he's a bit of a mercenary, to say the least. He's a bit of a nomad, very long. You know, what he did with us for 18 months is actually kind of the norm for him with a lot of clubs that he's at. So yeah, he's at Pauk now, and I just had visions when I saw them in that pot. And I was like, we're going to draw them, and I'm going to have to talk to Liam on a Friday night about Greg Taylor again. We're going to have to talk to Greg Taylor coming back to Celtic Park. But no, we avoided that one. We avoided it completely. So, yeah, but that's the fixtures.
For the time being.
All right. But I'd say overall with the draw, couple of things just to point out as well. Like, obviously with Bologna, last season they were in the Champions League and they finished in the bottom 12. I think they got a few points on the board. But they ended up finishing their season strong. They won the Coppa Italia, so like the equivalent of like the FA Cup in Italy. And Sturm Graz were also a Champions League team last season, but I think they, again, much like Bologna and some of the teams we played, like Bratislava and Young Boys of Bern, they were in the bottom 12 and they didn't really do much. But at the end of the day, there's a challenge there. And I think out of the away trips, the most hostile one is going to obviously be going to Belgrade to play Red Star, who's similar to us through the week. One-time European champions, just like ourselves, suffered a quite embarrassing defeat to a team they probably shouldn't have lost to, because obviously we lost to Kairat. Red Star Belgrade get knocked out by Paphos from Cyprus, the world superpower that is Cyprus. And here's another thing, Paphos, the club, have only been around for 11 years. So Red Star Belgrade get knocked out by them, so we get knocked out by Kairat. And on that note, on that link there, I guess we get a wee chat about what happened on Tuesday night. So I say, me and Terry, we were on. Obviously, we did the post match. It was certainly it was a rough one, but we got through it anyway. But yeah, Liam, what's your take on it all? Just how it all panned out, and were you surprised? Now, Johnny said at the top of the show there, he wasn't really surprised, and ultimately, when it was all said and done, I didn't feel that surprised either. There was a thing in the back of my head as well that I just felt like this is danger written all over it. There's just something about this, the way the first leg panned out. I even said on the night before when I was on with Pam and Connor, and we were doing our predictions, and I went, I could see this going all the way to penalties. Now, don't get me wrong, I said that Celtic would win it on penalties. Jesus Christ, I should have known better. We've been so bad at penalties for years. Why did I not see this coming? Horrific penalty shootout, horrific everything. The two games, the 180 minutes of football, no, extra time as well. 210 minutes of football. Absolutely dreadful. Didn't be even a half decent chance, I think, when you look at it over the piece. And yeah, we got what we deserved. We're now in the Europa League as a result, Liam, but what's your feelings on it all? What's your take on it?
It's worst football I've seen us play in a long time. Really, really, I don't know, very unenjoyable. You try and look for a positive of something that what are we trying to develop? And I just see the same tired approach, the same way. I thought we would at least change something. My God, what you're seeing, you're just seeing the man right now that's... And we'll talk about the board later. Let's talk about the game and why I'm disappointed. I thought our manager did not show anywhere near this elite things up now. Honestly, we could just play me going back to the first podcast we had of the season, Phil, when we started the first one, just talking, pre-season. And you said, well, who's the Clarkson going to be this year? Is it going to be Greg Taylor? And I said, no, it's probably going to be Brendan Rodgers, because he's lost the momentum that he had with this team. He let that team check out after the Bayern Munich game. People were allowed to take the foot off the gas, go and they were preparing other things. They were trying to get into the national team, getting James Forrest a milestone goal. All these different distractions, and we took the foot off the pedal, and it's momentum. And right now, he doesn't seem to be able to get that team together enough to win a big game. I mean, Carl Vickers, he's one of our most experienced players, and he didn't look interested. So, rather than going in and talking about points about the game and stuff like that, I'm just looking at overall as a whole and what it was when we were trying to win this game. And that's been my beef with Rodgers. He doesn't know how to win games. He's forgot how to win games. He tries to control games. And sometimes through this control and the amount of possession we have, we do have breakthroughs and all that. But when we have the teams, it's just as disciplined as and don't want to be controlled, and don't conform and show us the least bit of aggression back, we seem to collapse. Without that. And so we can only control when we have the upper hand. Well, we need to start learning how to control a game when you have to battle for it, but also controlling a game where you have to make it count. So much of what I watched in that game on Tuesday was just, it was the horseshoe of death, but it was 2, 3, 4, 5 passes, 6 touches. Honestly, it was just hard to watch. And I look at him and, just my bullshit detector just goes off the scale every time he opens his mouth. 2-year contract, 3-year deal. We're in that year right now where he has ran out of ideas, and you're seeing a man that is not a creative person, but a guy that's done really, really well in a time by focusing on certain, things that I think made him successful in the game at that time. But the game has changed, and it's moving and it's evolved, and so have the players. And those 2 games at 120 minutes or so just shows me that he's not evolved with it, and we need to get somebody that's more up to speed with the game that we're trying to play, because it's not working. It's antiquated. It's too old.
If we start slow and we don't get into a rhythm quickly, then we do run out of ideas. There was an amazing tweet that I saw after a couple of days later, and there's a screen grab from during the game. It's Callum McGregor on the ball, and the tweet said something like, Callum McGregor with 15, 20 yards of space in front of him. What do you think happens next? And of course, it was probably a pass to the left or a pass to the right or a pass back the way. I said it on, Tuesday night talking to Terry. I said, like, this passing out for the back, this, you want to start the attack from there. That's all well and good if the opposition team is going to press you, because the idea behind that whole style of play is you play it out from the back, you try and draw the opposition team towards you, and then you pass quickly through the lines to get up the park. You move it up quickly in the transition. But this team were not willing to come out and attack us, so we just came out with the ball. Liam Scales knocks it to Carter Vickers. Carter Vickers knocks it back to him. Give it to Callum McGregor, who shows for the ball, then turns around, passes it back the way or passes it sideways. And it was just slow and plodding. And yeah, there just didn't see that much urgency. Yes, in extra time, we probably looked like the team that were trying to win it. But other than, a shot from Luke McCown, which took a wee nick, which slowed it down a little bit, and the shot and the keeper saved it. And that Negrin chance that Kobe Donovan did really well to get along the byline and cut it back to him. Negrin's unlucky not to score there. The keeper does pull out a good save at the near post, but it was just a dreadful watch for the whole two legs, essentially. But yeah, and what Liam says there, Johnny, again, it's the manager. Again, the board, massive chunk of the problems. But on the night and over the two legs, what we still had available should have been good enough to get a result over the two legs. And again, in real time, when Brendan Rodgers is on the sideline watching that, is unwillingness to try and tell the team, okay, this isn't working, this passing sideways and, coming it from the back. We need to be a bit more direct, maybe look for long balls over the top, try and, find Dizan, a ball over the top for him to run onto, stuff like that. Just like, it just like just stood there, and it was just like a case of he just maybe felt it'll come, it'll be fine, we'll get the goal. And until we got that lead, you never feel safe. But yeah, Johnny, what's your overall take on it, as scunnering as it is?
Pretty much the same as Liam, and I've watched umpteen podcasts, or I've listened to umpteen pods over the last few days while I've been out and about delivering cars and whatnot, and I don't think there's anything I could add to it that'd be earth-shatteringly different to anybody else. But I've said it before, since February up to now, including this season, when I'm watching a Celtic game, if it wasn't for the fact that Celtic, I'd switch off and go and find something more interesting to do. We just don't seem to have any. What's happened to the team that started last season?
Yeah,
swashbuckling might be a little bit of a stretch, but attacking football, playing with flair, playing with a bit of imagination, scoring goals until February when Bayern Munich game, whether that knocked the stuffing out of the players, it shouldn't have done. They done well, blah blah blah. Bit of glorious failure, which nobody does glorious failure better than anybody connected with Scotland, really, when it comes to football. But so they should have been able to push on from there and continue it. But Brendan just doesn't seem to attack. Like Liam says, if you're passing the ball sideways and making 300 passes but getting nowhere, then it's a freaking waste of time. And it just, I always thought the idea of football, the main tactic is to attack and score more goals than your opposition. And we just don't seem to be making that effort. And some of our players just aren't good enough. I think sometimes we have to just accept, as things stand at the minute, we're not good enough for it to be a Champions League team, although we should have been good enough to beat that team to qualify for the Champions League. I didn't even look and see who they got, what kind of group they're in.
I predict they'll be on nil points come the end of the 8 games. I've got a funny feeling. We've got Real Madrid, Inter. They also, interestingly, got Sporting Lisbon, which is the furthest west team against the furthest east team in the competition, and it'll be like a 7,000-mile trip for Kairat to fly to Lisbon to play them. But yeah, they'll probably be on 0 points. That would be quite.
Oh yeah, I think they would probably be on 0 points regardless of who they get. Although having said that, I don't know what it is, because we never put them under enough pressure to find out whether they've got a good defence or not, to be honest, because they haven't lost a goal in the European qualifying so far, have they? So whether
yeah,
that's
home they haven't lost a goal at home at all.
Home, yeah. So whether that's because they've got a good defence or whatever, I just don't know. But we never tried to put them under enough pressure to try and figure it out. Obviously, if the Daizan that's playing at the moment was a bit more like the Daizan of the early part of last season rather than the Daizan that we've come to know and love at the end of the day, we might have been the first team to score because he should have scored that. Yeah. You know, when he was through, I mean, like say, he just went for too much power, I think, and all it required was a little dink.
One of the things, Johnny, that we've talked about Daizan's game that's improved is his composure, because these are the types of things he was doing a few years ago. You know, the lack of composure running through on goal. When he's got too much time to think, he tends to make a rash mistake. And yeah, the Daizan of last season, the way he would have ran through, probably would have just slotted it past the keeper. But no, just blazed it over. Yes, it was a bobbly pitch and whatnot, but my word, he just no need to put that much welly on it, essentially. And once that was missed as well, with a few minutes to go, you just had that sinking feeling that, oh, this is not going to go well. Liam, there's a good comment here from Graham Tyrrell came in. When was the last time Rodgers made a bold tactical change? Ibrox when Edward came on. That was in 2018, guys. Is that really the last time that you can think that Brendan Rodgers made a really bold tactical change? Because I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm usually quite good at being able to rattle something off the top of my head, but I genuinely can't think of anything right now.
No, I mean, it goes, you know, what makes an elite manager, you know?
Being able to make these types of changes, yeah.
You're an elite manager, you know, just like the boardroom is because their PR team tells you what a great job that they're doing, and we all start advising. And that's the one thing. It's like I've always found watching Rodgers is very predictable. I know exactly when and how he's going to make his substitutions. I mean, it's not a joke. You can actually set your watch by it. It will go off. I know that, you know, just after the 67 song, my watch will be going off, and that'll be us making our first substitution every single game.
Yeah,
you know, and
to be fair, Liam, you can say that about a lot of managers. To be fair, they all seem to have the little favourite times.
But you know, I never see him making a sub when it looks like we really need it and pulling the player. Like usually, it's like you're surprised at who's coming on and who's going off. What you don't see him doing is changing the tactical formation in a game. And that's the only time he's done it with, and that was Edward, where he's changed the shape of the team.
And he was forced to because we're down to 10 men.
Yeah. Right. So that becomes like he's forced to do that. And so, you know, do we award him all the accolades because of something he was forced to do? Because he's been dining out on that with Celtic support as being a tactically astute manager for the longest time. And yet, would he have made that same call if it was 11 versus 11? Probably not. And then so we'd be back before 2018. Maybe it was like something to do with Scott Player or something, bringing him on.
I mean, Chris Ems came in the chat and said that Bergamo, that was before the game because he made a choice to change his tact going for away games because we just get tanked by Dortmund the game before, 7-1. And that was the tip of the iceberg, essentially, because we'd obviously lost Atletico Madrid 6-0. We'd been beat 7-0 by Barcelona, 7-1 by PSG. PSG beat us 5-0 at Celtic Park. So we'd taken some serious doings under Brendan Rodgers in the Champions League. And I think the Dortmund one was just the sort of last straw. So he did change his approach with how he wanted the team to play that night. We were brilliant in Bergamo when we went to play Atalanta. We were fantastic that night. We did a lot of the things that we saw Kairat do, where it's like, be a bit street smart, be a bit streetwise, and waste time, and you know, just annoy them, get under their skin. And we did things like that. But what I saw against Kairat over those two games was us getting fooled by a lot of the same crap that always gets us, like being drawn in by, you know, one of the things that Kairat did very, very well, and again, I wish Celtic would do this more when they play a big European game, is when you get too touch tight to a player, they just throw themselves at the ground, and the referee was just giving out free kicks left, right, and centre, kills the game, kills momentum, frustrates you, And I'm like, Celtic need to be wise to that. Don't get too close to them because they're just going to do that. And, but when we played Atalanta and Bergamo last year and got that 0-0 draw, I remember like Alistair Johnson doing a lot of the street smart stuff, going down excessively long and wasting. I think a stretcher came on for Alistair Johnson all for nothing in the end. It was all just to kill time, if I remember right. So that actually was a good call, but actually in-game tactics, it could genuinely be the game against Rangers in 2018. That's genuinely what it could. The last time he made a real in-game changing moment, and it might very well be that, unless there is something else that's just not coming to our mind right now. But yeah, the definitely needs a spark and invigoration, and hopefully with some of the players that seem to be now coming in the door. Where were they weeks ago? Anyway, Balikwisha has finally joined. He's finally here, Johnny. And Sarrachi is here as well. They were obviously... Well, Sarrachi was unveiled officially tonight, even though he was spotted at training long before he was actually announced. Obviously, Balikwisha was in the door. I think... We'll get on to talk about the Rangers game and our teams now, but I think right now, Balikwisha has to start on Sunday. Because, again, we're talking about a spark, something to really ignite it. This boy is an unknown quantity to us. To be fair, he's unknown to us as well. But to Rangers, because they won't be prepared for him, they'll be probably preparing for us to line up with... Well, if Adam Idah's still here, given what's going on, I wouldn't expect Adam Idah to be starting. But hey, would you be surprised at this stage if something happened there and he ended up no leaving? But I think Rangers will be preparing for us to be starting with Nygren on the right, because Yang might be away as well. Forrest will play and Maeda through the middle. That's what I think they'll be preparing for. But if Balikwisha comes in, it's an unknown quantity, it's an X factor. And I think this team needs an X factor. It needs an unknown quantity, Johnny. So for me, I would be putting him in there right away on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We haven't chased the guy for 13 months when... It could have been down to 11 months and we should have had him in 2 months ago. But anyway, never mind that. I'm not going to pay £4.5 million for him and then play the waste of a jersey that is Yang. If he's even on the bench on Sunday, I'll be pretty pissed off, if I'm honest. And if he starts ahead of Balikwisha, then I'm going to be really, really pissed off. Because I think Yang's finished. Get him off to Birmingham, or whoever else wants to take him, just get rid of him. Is Balikwisha, is he left or right? Or is he a right-footed? No, left-footed who plays on the right, or is it?
I think it's said that he can play on both, but I think he's predominantly left-sided and plays on his right foot, plays on the left side. But I'm pretty sure in the write-up on him, it said that he can play on both sides.
On both, right? Okay. Because that means then. So are we gonna play him on the left and put Maeda through the middle,
and it would probably be Nygren or Forrest would start out wide on the other side.
Or like you said, Nygren, if they decide to go with him on the right.
Plays on the left.
So it could be him, but they're right footed, but he plays on the left, right? Okay, yeah. But yeah, he's definitely got to start. And the other lad, what's his name again?
Sarrachi. Marcelo Sarrachi.
Sarrachi's going to be on the bench, ready to take over from Tierney after 60 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's a Brendan thing or whether it's a Kieran thing, Liam, with the 60-minute mark. But so that's that. But there's might be another couple. Idah, this is going to be a strange one, this, because he's apparently in Swansea, wasn't he? He was down in Swansea today.
The report is medical, but see, there's a lot of
I took it from that press conference, was he was actually in Swansea, and I'm thinking, well, if he's in Swansea now. He must be well down the road to signing on the paperwork, which means that surely we're well down the road to sign the paperwork for Idah's replacement. Because what we don't want to do is on tomorrow night have to phone up Idah and say, "Don't sign nothing. Get your ass up here. We need you tomorrow." Because that's hardly he won't be taking part in any training or anything like that. And then he's going to have to travel from Swansea. Otherwise, he'll jump on a light aircraft and fly up from Swansea to Glasgow. So it's going to be nothing in that respect. It's but it just seems a strange setup that they've even allowed him to travel all the way down to Swansea unless something is imminent that we've not had confirmed. And there's been lots of conflicting stories kicking around today, hasn't there? You don't know.
Yeah, on Kasper Dolberg, because there's some journalists are saying that a bid hasn't been made yet. Other ones are saying that it's very close to happening. I think they've just got Idah down there, the medical's done. So the minute that they've got if it is going to be Dolberg, which the reports seem to suggest it will be, but again, nothing's final, especially when it comes to Celtic, then it's just a case of that's it, it's done. Because Ryan T's right, if they were in some situation where they had to recall Idah, it's a busted flush because his head's not in it now. Apparently, he's already said goodbye to all his teammates and all that. So if this all fell through and he was expected to come back and say with Celtic, he can't rule anything out with this stuff. It could find herself in that position on Sunday. I really hope not. But yeah, that could be a realistic possibility. So I'm just hoping it's a case of he's down there, he's done the medical. Okay, it's not finalised yet, but the second that Celtic have got this other one finalised, then that's it. It's all a formality after that. But again, wouldn't it help Celtic to have got something in before all this? Although going by the reports, apparently the club were blindsided by this, as was the player. They weren't expecting this one. I can probably imagine the reaction from those on the Celtic board. Like, wait, what? Adam Idah, really? 7 million? Are you kidding? Get on that plane right now and get out of Swansea, because I am stunned that we've recouped that much money if this deal is going through. That is I've said enough times on this show, I wanted Idah to be such a success. We all want the players to be a success, but you've got to sometimes just admit it just wasn't working. He gave me, I say, one of the best moments I have ever had in a stadium, and I will never ever forget it, and that will never ever be taken away from him. That moment in that cup final was unbelievable, and yeah, you just wanted him to just really push on after that, but it just, too inconsistent last season. It's all well and good scoring 20 goals, whatever it was, but it was coming in spurts. 4 games when he'd score, then he'd go a month without a goal, and then back to scoring again. And the way this season started, it just looked like it just wasn't going to be. But again, because we've left it so late in the day, that we've left it to this point, we're scrambling around. And yeah, as Johnny said, there could be some mad scenario where it's like, no, wait a minute, you can't leave just yet. But Liam, I've got a comment here regarding the new Bhoys Sarrachi as well. And I should have starred it, of course, but I didn't. Amateur mistake from me. But basically, somebody had said about starting him the weekend. I don't know if he'll start, but then again, I did hear, Liam, that Sarrachi can play right back as well as left back. So maybe that's a possibility. But one thing that I think, because a lot of fans do get a bit concerned about throwing players into this fixture, but this is a guy who has played for Boca Juniors and River Plate. Now, we talk about the Celtic and Rangers rivalry being what it is, but Liam, if you're a player that has played for River and Boca, I'd imagine you've got a pretty big set of cojones, and I don't think a trip to Ibrox for his debut is going to faze him that much. I get the feeling this guy might be a bit of a mad bastard at times, mate. I'm encouraged by the fact he's also got Galatasaray on his CV as well. And they've got a hostile fan base, to say the least. And when they play the likes of Fenerbahce and Besiktas and the Istanbul derbies, again, we talk about Celtic and Rangers being intense. I think this guy, I think he'll be okay if he has to play at any point on Sunday, Sarrachi.
Sarrachi might be the hot sauce we're needing right now, Phil.
Yes.
Have a go at this, Bob. I think we need something. I think we need somebody that's going to come in and just light a spark in this team, and maybe this is the guy to do it. Mm-hmm. Maybe the fact because he has played and experienced in these big games, he's bringing them some experience, and especially if Tony Ralston can't play. If he can't play, he might be a brilliant deputy just to come in. If Tony's not 100%, let's put this guy in. And then, let him go, and then if he tires out or whatever, then we've got that young Colby Donovan guy who I think is looking really good to come in as well. But I'm just at anything, Phil. I'm just screaming for show me anything, a bit of creativity. Just don't keep doing it the same way. Rodgers, show me you've got another idea. Do we play him at left back and we move Kieran Tierney and set out Liam Scales?
Oh, he has played centre back before. He has done it.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing as well, CCVs, comfy carpet slippers, he looked like he was wearing Uggs the other night. And
made the same mistake that he did in the first game, but in the first game, they tried to chip the goalkeeper for 40 yards when he made that mistake. But on Tuesday night, he did the same thing. He just let the ball run right under his foot and then had to recover, and he managed to recover in the end. But yeah, you're right. And Terry highlighted that in the post-match. He is getting a bit comfortable at times.
Well, I'm worried about him as a player because remember the last time at Ibrox, I thought he zoned out as well. He had his mindset on the American national team, and here we are in front of another international break. I'm hoping that our players are motivated enough. I know we're so much ahead on points and all that, but just the anxiety within like the emotional, content of the crowd right now is, both teams are in a weird place. But emotionally, I mean, we could wreck their stadium and they'd probably join in and help us. That's probably the mood right now. We both hate what's going on with our club. We both hate it's just going to make for a really weird, edgy game. And I think the more that we can do to disrupt the staleness of our team, of those guys that have like carried the momentum for the last 15, Celtic Rangers games. They're worn out. They've heard all Rodgers' speeches. They've heard Ange's speeches. They're probably comparing them now as well and seeing, who would motivate them better. And he's not been able to motivate this team since February. So, yeah, this is a weird game. It's almost like, this time has really exposed Rodgers to me as a manager and that as well. Like, even with the transfers and I really don't know what's going on, and and it's like I don't know. It seems like you're shirking a lot of your responsibility for a guy that's meant to be elite. And any person that I've worked with that's been elite in any sort of craft or service, whatever they do, they know what's going on. In fact, they know everybody what's going on. The good actors are the ones that memorise everybody's lines. Good directors, every single scene, everybody's name. Just do your homework, research it. You should have a good idea who players are, who you want, and how they're going to come into this team. You can't just say, no, you deal with that, and then I'll praise them once they're there. That's not being a very good team player. It's like, and I'm not letting the board off because they're daft anyway, but Rodgers is the one like now. It's like, nobody's calling our board elite. I was pissed at the end of that game, and I said to one of the guys, we need to get rid of him. And he was like, but we're not going to get anybody as good as Rodgers. We got to get rid of that mindset. There's plenty of guys that are out there that's as good as Rodgers. I mean, you want a narrative? Imagine us rocking up to Ibrox on Sunday and they unveil Mourinho. They're up for a narrative.
He gets sacked today, didn't he? Yeah, I seen that. Actually, yeah.
So imagine that for a narrative.
Oh, Jesus, Josie. For which one? For which Glasgow team? Because it seems that the Rangers fans want Mourinho now as well. So, yeah.
Loser gets Mourinho. So it'll be like, this is a game to get football banned. It's like the team that can't score against the team that can't defend. It's like, why not Glasgow flourish? The fish that never swam, the bell that never rang, the tree that never grew. The team that can't score, the team that can't defend. It's an epic novella, So,
it was summed up perfectly with the two performances midweek. You had a team that didn't even cross the halfway line and a team that couldn't defend the next night, and it's like this could be the worst Glasgow derby, and God knows all. Well, to me, I said for the show, probably the worst one since the last one, because that one at the end of the season in May, the one each draw. What a non-event of a game that was. But again, it was obviously after the league title was already wrapped up. But I remember Barry Ferguson and Brendan Rodgers and the players who got interviewed in the run-up, we won't treat this like a dead rubber, there's no dead rubbers in this fixture. After we scored the equaliser on like the 50th minute or whatever it was when Adam Idah scored, Nothing, absolutely nothing happened for the next 40 minutes until Adam Idah missed that one-on-one chance at the very, very end. Absolute dead game. But yeah, this game that we're coming up to, could have potential to be just one of the worst viewing. From a spectacle point of view, I don't know if it's going to be a good one. But hey, as long as Celtic get a result, then we're not here to entertain. We're not here to entertain the neutrals. A quick point I want to make as well, John, I'll come to you on this. That Graham Tyrrell's brought up about Inamura. Now, this is a really interesting one because obviously Brendan Rodgers has been very vocal on the Inamura transfer, more so than any of the other ones this summer. Obviously, we've had our say on the transfers plenty of times in the board and the way they behaved. Brendan Rodgers has threw some nuggets out there in the press using terms like club signings, which is something he didn't do. I picked up as well on the fact that what manager do you ever see do that to a player? Like usually when a player signs for a club, the manager will do all the stuff like, I'm really glad I got my man, and this is the strengths that he can bring to the team and really talk him up. That's usually what football managers do, but the way Brendan Rodgers behaved over this was odd. Then, of course, Inamura played a couple of friendlies. He looked okay, looked serviceable, probably better than most thought he would be. Brendan Rodgers even admitted that he's got a bit of thinking to do over him. But then, of course, the competitive stuff starts, Johnny, and he's nowhere to be seen. There's then all these rumours going around that Inamura might be going out on loan, and the reason why he hasn't featured is because if he plays for us, due to FIFA's rules about you can only play for 2 teams in a year, that would mean that he would then go on loan, and that would be a third team if he plays even a minute for us. But then, of course, he plays last week. And it turns out I've looked into the rule. The way this rule works is only 2 teams in a season, not in a year. So if you've got seasons overlap each other, which in this case it does, because Japan's season runs from March to November. Ours runs from August to May of the next year. So their seasons overlap each other. So technically he doesn't fall into that category of he can't go out on loan now. So he is still eligible to go out on loan. I believe the club are looking at that as an option. But I thought he was okay last week. Yes, you can argue that Livingston didn't test him. Brendan made it very clear after the game that in games like this, fixtures like this, where we're not up against a team that's going to attack us, you can get, you can play in these types of games. But yeah, like obviously some people said in the chat, like in follow-up that like he could, Ian McIntosh followed James' point about it, that Inamura could have been useful for the last 20 minutes on Tuesday night, because again, with what Brendan said on Saturday after the Livingston game, we're up against teams that don't attack you. He would be handy. Well, look at how Kairat set out. They had no ambition to attack, and to say Inamura going forward every time last week against Livingston, when he was on the ball, it was about playing it forward. He looked to get his head up and move the ball forward, put in a few good crosses, things that we could have done with. It's a really curious case of what's going on with Inamura, isn't it, Johnny?
It is. I think it's unfortunate for Inamura, because one of the first things that obviously goes against him is the fee, £250,000.
Yep.
All right. That was all of our first reactions. All right, okay. £250,000 on potential. Yeah, we can live with that. He's not going to be a first teamer, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Then he got a game against Cork. Again, he's not going to get put under any sort of real pressure defensively, but he looked quite a tidy little footballer. I think everybody was pleasantly surprised, but the caveat was, but it was only against Cork. And then he had a few other little run-outs, and again, he looked like his distribution with the ball, quite tidy. Brendan had said a few things about, maybe not overly flattering about him, but then started to seem to sort of swing. I'm trying to be careful what I say here. Swing the other way a little bit and think, oh, wait a minute, actually, there might just be something a bit like how Scales was the biggest surprise of his coaching career.
Aye.
When Scales was virtually on his way to Aberdeen, by all accounts, and then because of the injury situation we had at the time, Scales was virtually the last man standing, so had no option but to play him, and played his way into Brendan's thoughts. And I thought maybe Inamura is going to do something the same. Did he get on any game time against Falkirk?
No, the only game he's played so far was against Livingston.
Yeah. But
then I was under the impression that he couldn't play a single minute because of the whole loan thing. But then when I looked into it, it's overlapping seasons. You can get away with it. So he is still eligible for a loan. But yeah, playing last week and doing okay, to come away and say, oh, he'd be okay against teams that don't really don't attack us. We literally played a team over 2 legs there that had no ambition to attack at all.
See, the thing is that with him, I'd have absolutely no problem if we put him out on loan for the season. It's just a little bit unfair of what Brendan's said, things, that are not exactly complimentary about him and whatever. Put him on loan, maybe to another Scottish team. So he's playing against
definitely. Aye.
I don't know if there's any team in the Premiership would be willing to take him on loan. But I'm sure somebody like, maybe phone Lennon at Dunfermline and say, do you fancy taking or Scott Brown at Ayr?
We do have some kind of partnership with United.
We do, don't we? Because it was going to be Queen's Park, wasn't it? And then that went out the window, and then it was there. So why not get him playing at Ayr United? All right, it's not the same level, but it's the same sort of, a robust environment for him to be playing in, and see how he goes from there. I don't think it's just a bit unfair the way Brendan's spoke about him. He could have been a little bit kinder in some of his comments, shall we say? But
it's a really strange one, but just add it to
he looks a decent footballer. Whether he's any good at defending, a bit like I've always said, I like my defenders to be able to defend. I said that about Burnaby when we first signed him. I thought, he's looked all right on my YouTube clips, but they've all been attacking. I've not seen any defending. Well, we found out why we hadn't seen any defending clips, because he couldn't defend. He was just garbage. But yes, Inamura, I'd like to see him getting an opportunity somewhere, not necessarily at Celtic, but let's put him on loan somewhere. Got no problem with that. But let's build the guy up. I've always believed that a coach, trainer, or a teacher, one of the last things they should do is publicly disparage somebody. You're there to try and build somebody's confidence and build up their ability, and you're not going to do it by telling them you're shit.
Aye, pretty much. That's where I've felt with that one, just the way it's been handled. So you don't see many managers do that, even if they're not 100% truthful when they're talking to the press, but they still go out there and say, I'm really happy to get him in, and this is the strength he's going to bring to the team. It was just a very, very strange ordeal. The last thing I'll just say as well on transfers before we get on to talking about the big game on Sunday, Janice McCown asked about, what do you think of Dolberg? Should we sell either if we get him? Well, that seems to be, going by the news stories out there, that is what seems to be happening. But again, with Celtic, you just don't know. Dolberg fits the profile of exactly the type of players that we should be looking at every single summer. I heard, I think it was Steve-O on Celtic World Order. He was talking about it on his transfer roundup. I watched it, and he says there's a story doing the rounds now that Celtic have been talking to Anderlecht for the best part of 2 weeks over this, but they've managed to keep it quiet. So one, fair play, they've kept it quiet. That's kind of good, I suppose. But two, if you were talking about that long ago and knowing what we know now, again, hindsight being 2020, it goes without saying, these are the type of players that could have helped us to get over the line and into the Champions League. And it's not. But Dolberg does seem to fit.
Penalty expert, Bill.
Aye, maybe he could have a penalty. That'd be quite encouraging if he could.
Yeah.
But the boy has played for Ajax. He actually played against us back in 2015 for a very, very young Ajax team at the time. He was, I think that Ajax side went on to get the Champions League final, or Champions League semi-finals just a couple of years later. But 2015-16, we played Ajax, Fenerbahce and Molde in Ronnie Dyler's second season in the Europa League, and he was playing for that Ajax team. He's played for Seville, he's played for OGC Nice, and he's played for Hoffenheim. So he's played in Holland, Spain, France and Germany. Big leagues. He's scored goals in them. He's got 55 caps for Denmark, who, of course, plays for us right now, that is also a veteran of the Denmark team, Kasper Schmeichel. You want another connection? They both played together at OGC Nice, and then they both left OGC Nice and went to Anderlecht together. Of course, he's still at Anderlecht. Kasper Schmeichel is here. So you've got to wonder, has Kasper Schmeichel had a word with Brendan Rodgers saying, try and get my mate Could be nothing, could be something, who knows? But we'll wait and see. I would like to, looking at Dolberg's profile, he does seem to fit the bill. So hopefully there is some substance in that. But say tonight, there's been a lot of conflicting stories. Some journalists are saying Celtic haven't even tabled a bid yet. Other ones are saying that it's imminent. So we just need to watch this space and wait for the confirmation. Right. Anyway, on to the game, because we're an hour in, and yes, on occasion we're living under a rock. It's one of those weekends again, folks. It's one of them. Are you feeling a bit nervous? Are you excited? Are you scared? Are you going to be watching it behind the couch? How are you all feeling about this one? Because it is a Glasgow derby weekend. As is tradition now, 4 weeks into the season, we always seem to play Rangers. It seems to be a thing now. You don't get these first games of the season between them, maybe in October or late September. It's always before the first international break. Celtic are, of course, Liam, in a position, despite all the doom and gloom and the cloud that's over the club right now, Celtic are in a position to go 9 points clear if they win, which is astounding to actually think about it. When you actually... none of us could really see us coming. I know we've had years and years of a lot of brouhaha and a lot of hype about Rangers are back and Rangers are going to do this and they've turned the corner, and then it usually ends badly for them. But I don't think after that takeover, and it seemed like, okay, they seem like they've got guys in that aren't a total charlatan like a Craig White or a Charles Green, none of that, or a Dave King. But they've got guys that look like they've got an idea what they're doing. No, I don't think any Celtic fan even saw us coming. That they've had a terrible start to the season last week with their draw at St Mirren. Everybody could have seen that coming, Liam. After they called the game off or asked to call it off and then only put it back on, you kind of knew St Mirren are going to do something. It was a bit like the Dundee fiasco a couple of years before, where they had the game that kept getting called off. There was a lot of things said in the press about Dundee. It was all their fault. And you just knew, see, when this game does get played, Dundee are just going to dig their heels in and they're going to take something off them. St Mirren last week, obviously, also, so we're going to be your easy 3 points. You're going to get the game put back on so you can get the 3 points off us. Okay, no problem. St Mirren, of course, took points off them. So yeah, we are now in a position after they've drew 3 games that we can go there and go 9 points clear. After that dismal performance through the week against Kairat, and knowing this, if there was ever a time to be motivated, Liam, if ever a time to not just pass it sideways and pass it in the old horseshoe, surely to Christ, a team talk isn't even needed here. It's just like, look what we can achieve by winning here on Sunday. Come on, it writes itself, Liam.
If there was some clues to how they play and how they collapse under any sort of pressure at the back, our management team should be watching those videos. It's all there, right there in front of you. You've seen what they are like. And what we have to do is not go there and control the game, but to attack them at their game. And that means just like press, take the ball, run them to the corners, just don't give them any peace. Mm-hmm. Because this game can go 2 ways. This is a game that could end football. This is the end, like 60 minutes, nothing. I think both fans just walk out simultaneously, and we hate our board, you hate their board, it's rivalry's over, everybody's friends again. Glasgow, it's like, it's a game we get fit, or they burn down the stadium, and that's it as well, because it's going to be one or the other. Like if their team, if we score early on them,
oh yeah,
we get into our groove, and we keep scoring. Jesus Christ, that's going to be some environment. For us.
An angry bear pit, one would say.
But for them, oh my God, yeah. It's going to be insane. Mm-hmm. So this is about, players and pressure. And you're going to see a lot of good players doing really weird things, and a lot of young players maybe like, taking a grip at it, taking a horror bit. And I think it's up to the manager right now to stop this bullshit of the complacent way that he picks his squad and build us something strategically of who's going to put them to the sword. Not who's going to control the game, who's going to threaten them, who's going to stretch them, who's going to get in behind and who's going to be feeding and looking for that run in behind their defence, so that while they're running, they got to turn their back and start running the other way, because they're not very good at it. Their goalie saves them an awful lot. Jack Balton's been their best player for ages. And I think we need to be hitting him non-stop. And again, no looking for the perfect shot, just like scrambling. Just firing shots into the box, hard, with purpose. Let our guys grab the rebounds. And maybe that means playing 2 up front, Brendan. Maybe that means that, okay, if we're no signing wingers, come on, man, play two forwards and we've got loads of midfielders. Add Bernardo into the squad. Find a way to just sort of threaten them so that we're attacking them and we're playing our game to win, not the game just to control it. And I think that's when we'll have success with them, because they can't defend. We know
there has been some examples in the last couple of years where we've caught Butland out with these unexpected long shots. Don't get me wrong, every time it was Kyogo that did it, mind you. He did it at Ibrox and Brendan's first one back, the half volley from the edge of the area. Matt O'Reilly headed it forward and he just took a chance. And the one at the New Year game where, again, he just got it on his left foot, pinged it right in the top corner. And then the one at the start of last season, we beat them 3-0, where he kind of passed it into the net from about 35 yards, just sort of zipped along the ground. And nobody, when you saw it, you're like, he's not got the right to even do that, to even think, to even try that. Butland never saw it coming. And it's like, we've caught him out a few times with these types of shots.
I mean, God, there was a bit of dirt on the ground. And that hit it would have went off course of it. It was like what you probably call a proper daisy cutter. I mean, that's the thing. That's what you miss Kyogo. Kyogo had that spark of creativity, that stuff that came out of nowhere. I'm hoping right now that we've seen Dyson do that against them as well. I don't know what's going on with Dyson, but he's not been on form lately as well. He's off. You don't. Maybe it's just because you're a new baby, and it could be one of the kids that greets all night or something, and he's not getting sleep or whatever it is. But something's off with him, and maybe he just needs a good confidence boost, because he thought he was playing well at striker, and then he got moved to the wing, and then he's striker, and then he's back out in the wing again. And there's a younger guy coming in for Japan that's taking that spot, but he's not really earned it. But Dyson did. So you never know what goes on in football players' mindsets and what they want to do and where they want to play and all that. I always knew playing with guys that wanted to play striker. They didn't want to be as a coach by playing somewhere else in the park. When you're a striker and you're born a striker, and it's all about grabbing opportunities, making chances and bullying people and being creative and all that. You want to play at striker. You don't want to be playing in the wing or second fiddle and that. Nice. But it's just going to be, if you look at this game, it could get football banned, or this is a game where you see two coaches. One's fighting for his credibility back right now. He's got maximum points. We've not been scored on. The other one's basically fighting for his existence, and it'd be an interesting matchup. But if we go in and both coaches just do the same sort of thing that they always do, I think the fans are just going to get fed up with it.
Is it the irresistible force meets an immovable object? Is this the resistible force meeting the movable object this time? Is that what we're going to see on Sunday? It feels like that. It has potential to be maybe the worst game ever. It could be the most entertaining game ever. Who knows? Johnny, here's a $6 million question though. Who's the pressure on more out of the two teams other than? Because I said to Terry on Tuesday night, I hate when there is a real overwhelming confidence and the bookies have got us as overwhelming favourites against them. Too much PTSD with these types of fixtures where we've went in, they're so bad at the moment, and then we end up just having a cropper. Just at the start of the year, we were staring down the barrel of being 17 points in front. We're like, 14 points in front. We'll absolutely do them, and we just get turned over at Ibrox. We get absolutely battered 3-0 in the end. There was a cup game a few seasons ago where they went all the way through extra time against somebody in the Europa League. I think it was Braga on the Thursday night. And we just turned up on the Sunday after beating them a few times in a row. I think we beat them at Ibrox and we beat them at Celtic Park under Ange. And it was just like, we'll do them, no problem. We ended up losing 2-1. And to be fair, they looked like they had more energy at the end of the game and they played the whole extra time. So I'd say, who's the pressure on? Because obviously Tuesday night, we were playing Kairat, who had no desire to come out and play against us. They very much played to their strengths, keep compact, keep tight, keep organised. Russell Martin's made it very clear he has got a mentality, an ethos of how he wants to play football, and he's going to keep doing it regardless of what the Rangers fans think and what it seems some of his players think as well, because he's called a couple of them out after some of the games so far. This is how we're going to play. He cannot afford to sit back, even though any manager watching Celtic's flaws would surely say, I should probably tell the lads to sit in a wee bit against them. But no, I think Russell Martin can't afford that, because I don't think the Rangers fans in the stands will allow that. They'll want them to come at us and attack us right from the start, Johnny. So the pressure's on them for different reasons. I say the pressure's on us because a lot of people are expecting us to just turn up and roll them over. So who is the pressure on more, Johnny?
I think the pressure's more on Rangers and Russell Martin, if I'm being honest. And I'm saying that because, well, obviously they've not had the best of starts. We've not been great. Let's not kid ourselves. We've not been great. Dire really against St Mirren, a last minute, very late winner. Yeah, a deflected effort at that. St Mirren, then Aberdeen. Okay, yeah, not a great performance. Never looked in any real danger, to be fair, of losing that game. Won that 2-0. And then obviously Livingston, again, half time I was a bit worried in that game. I'm thinking, but then we strolled 3-0. So we've not been brilliant, but we've managed to get the points, and we've got, on paper it looks great, 9 out of 9. They've been the complete opposite. They've scraped 3 draws, and even Rangers supporters will accept and will admit, lucky to get away with it against Motherwell, lucky to get away with it against St Mirren. Who St Mirren looked quite tidy, by the way, when the way they went to Rangers, with that couple of big strikers up front there. I thought they looked quite tidy, and they played some decent football, not just clogging their way through it, And could have easily been 2 or 3-0 up, and should have been 2 or 3-0 up. So I think the pressure is more on Rangers than Russell Martin, because the Rangers supporters are just not going to accept a defeat. They maybe expect it. They might not be overly confident, but they're still not going to accept it. And we know they all want rid of him. The question is, will they accept a defeat if it gets that objective, which I don't think it would do anyway. But I think the pressure is more on Rangers. That doesn't mean to say there's no pressure on us either, because we played them 5 times last year, and every single game I expected us to win, and I expected us to win fairly comfortably. We did with the first game. We beat them up 3-0. But all the other ones, where we expected to win and we didn't, got done 3-0, done 3-2. The League Cup final. Yeah,
that was a bit of a weird one, because there is a narrative the Rangers were the better team, but I said at the time, I've said that a few pods since then, the first half was absolutely garbage between both teams. Terrible, summed up by the goal that we lost in the late in the half. It was like the only major chance in the game. Second half, we definitely went up the gears, and we actually lost a couple of sloppy goals. One deflected off of Kyogo's toe, and the other one was due to Carter Vickers and Ralston going to sleep at the back post. But second half, we were better. And in the extra time, we were the only team looking to win it. So, but again, we still conceded 3 goals that day, and a lot of people obviously had that in their mind. They're like, we should be conceding 3 goals to them, and obviously it played into the next game where we did lose another 3 goals to them, and then 3 goals again in the next game. And then the last game we played at the end of last season, despite all the talk about it, we won't treat this like a dead rubber. It very much felt like a dead rubber. Dreadful, dreadful game. But no, I agree with you. I do think leaning towards, I'd say, the pressure probably is on Rangers more, because, if it was to end a draw, it's no damage done. It's still 6 points in front for us, but 6 points behind can be massive in this city. If you're 6 points behind, being 6 points in front isn't too bad. So they'll be expected. Their fans will be like dying for them to just go and win the game and narrow it. And it does give us a wee cushion. It would be obviously an inconvenience for us to lose, but we're still only 4 games into the season. This is still a long way to go. Nothing will be won on Sunday and nothing will be lost on Sunday, but you can definitely put a marker down, and it can definitely deal a good psychological blow to your opponent as well. On you go, Johnny.
I was going to say, I think Graham Turner asked earlier on about the game-changing tactic. I don't think Brendan needs to make a in-game change tactic, but what he needs to do on Sunday is almost like a Bergamo change of style, where he reined things in, and we got the 0-0 draw against Atlanta. He wants to go the opposite way. We need a Neil Lennon kickoff at Ibrox that we had.
Booted right in the corner.
We need to do something like that and just go at them. Pace. I reckon even Celtic could score a couple of corners against Rangers on Sunday, and that's not something we do very often. I reckon even Celtic could score a corner or two on Sunday, because they are woeful.
Only you beat the first man, the first and foremost, so you're going to buy the first man.
Yeah, well, there is that aspect to it, but I mean, I do think they're woeful, and it's pace. And I think, like Liam said, I think you said, was it last week you used the shock and awe? Just go for it. Because you know the ball over the top. We've got speed merchant like Maeda. Nobody's even mentioned Shin possibility. Yeah. I know we've not seen him play, and I've got no idea whether he's any good or not. But they tell me he's rapid. Yeah.
So he got a start last week against Livingston. And he was okay. He had some chances. He probably was unlucky not to get a goal, to be fair. But he's got a wee bit about him, but a bit raw still, I would say, would be the best way to sum him up. Where there's something there to work with, but it needs refined a little bit, Johnny.
Yeah, but pace is going to be the way to be. I mean, like, how many times have you seen the ball played from the middle of, Brugge's half? Just a little push through. Guy got booked. The guy got sent off, and they lost at least one goal just through a simple ball like that, played through the middle of the park. Go for pace. Like you said, Liam, it's not about controlling the ball. You don't win games by controlling the game. You win games by scoring goals and attacking. And we need to really completely flip it from what we've been doing since February and go for it.
So, Phil, can I answer that last question? I think this is on the pressure's on Rodgers.
Okay, right.
First of all, we're the bigger side. Right, we're the champions. We got a lot going for us, establishment team and all that. We should be able to go in and beat them. This is a team that's in decline. And so Rodgers has to show that he can win a big game. If we lose this game and then the mindset is, it's okay, we're still 6 points ahead or whatever it is, 3 points ahead of them. I just think that's the wrong mindset. That's the mindset that got us into the extra time and penalties against Aberdeen, that somehow we're going to turn this back on when it really counts. And these players have shown that once they turn it off, they can't turn it back on. Right now, the guy that's in control of that switch is Brendan Rodgers. Can Brendan Rodgers? I think the pressure's definitely on him. This is a team that he should be able to beat. They're going in there at their very, very lowest. Now, I know he's been messed around with players and recruitment and stuff like that, but he's still meant to be an elite level manager. And that means with the players that he's got, there is some up and coming players. Dave Murray looks good. The boy Donovan looks good. There's that. You do have players at your disposal. You can change the shape. You can change the positioning. Anything that you have to do to put them under pressure and beat them. So, yeah, I think the pressure's on Brendan Rodgers. You have to prove to the support that you've not completely lost that. Again, you're not getting your way. You don't have the team you want. You say that we're connected. I think we're disconnected, but you're assuring us this board is connected with us. Yep. You're as Michael Nichols is doing a great job. So what's the problem? Because there's nothing worse than coming on and saying, I told you so. And there's so many, I've listened to every podcast, and everybody is doing a podcast this week, did the same podcast last week. And it's a giant big, I told you so. There was nobody wrong in this one. Everybody got it right. Yep. And so what you need to see for Rodgers is, all right, have you got it back in your mindset? You need to create a winning mentality in this team on games that matter. And to us, whether we're 9 points to 3 points or 6 points each, at this stage in the game, it's still our biggest rival. And it's still someone we should be beating. And of course, it matters. We bury them if we win handily.
Oh God, I'd be 9 points in front. I say, even though, as I said a minute ago, nothing's won at this stage, but it's a huge psychological blow to be 9 points in front. It's obscene. I don't think we've ever had that type of lead after 4 games, because I say we always play them at the last game before the first international break. It always seems to be a staple now. But yeah, this would be the biggest gap I can remember it being if we do go out there and get the win. And
that's why that's why I think Rangers are under the more pressure, because we beat them, and hopefully Liam might have said beat them well. Then that puts them under even more pressure for their next games. Their jobs are not just Russell Martin's job. There's going to be quite a few people there. Their jobs are going to be under threat. Players. I mean, like I said, I'm praying that Rangers play Max Aarons on Sunday. I don't think they will, because I think he is shot to pieces, that guy. If I see him on the team sheet, then I'm going to be quite happy with it, because I think he is.
Well, with the stories, Johnny, the Tavernier might be getting forced out, it seems, and maybe Max Aarons is the one that will play. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, and Raskin, I'm quite happy not to see Raskin. I mean, it doesn't matter what you think about Raskin, ability-wise. He's a pain in the arse. And
he's being off.
And he's caused us a few issues last year. I mean, he was popping up and scoring bloody headers. I mean, he's about 5'2", and we've got, you just think, how the fuck is that happening? But I'd be quite happy not to see him on the team sheet. But I think Rangers are under more pressure than. I'm not saying we've not got pressure. Of course we have. I think Rangers are the ones that they've got. I know nothing's going to be won or lost. The Rangers have got quite a lot to lose on Sunday.
They do. They do.
But we've got to guard against that. Liam's favourite word from the end of last season, complacency. That's where our pressure comes in. If we have any complacency. But thankfully, we're not in a position where we can afford to be complacent and then play. Any of them players have got any complacency about them, then they need punted, and they need punted quick.
Oh, definitely. There you go. That's interesting that the two of you have went for who's got more pressure on them. They went for the opposite, but
opinions, Liam.
That's good. That's good. Don't all just sit here and go, "Oh yes, I agree with you." Oh, I agree with you. So that's good. We've got contrast opinions here, and also when Liam, when you mentioned about Brendan having to prove that he's still got it for these big games, I knew Patrick McLaughlin would come in with this. I've got it on the screen. This is our 10th big game of 2025, and of course, Patrick brought up last week that we've only won one of those games, which was the Young Boys of Bern game, which was in January. We are now nearly in September, and that was in January, that game that got us through to the next round of the Champions League. Since then, we've had obviously games against Rangers, cup finals against Aberdeen, Champions League qualifiers against Kairat. So yeah, this is a biggie. He has to prove that he's still got it, because a lot of people are concerned about it being his last year. Is he phoning it in this year? He's got to prove that he's got the fire in the belly. He wants to, if he is going to leave at the end of the season, which looks pretty likely that it's going to happen now. He wants to go out on a high, and he's got to do it by finding that fire again. He has to make sure this is the strongest possible finish. If he wants to leave, and put bookend his time at Celtic, rather than the way it ended the first time. If he wants to go out at the end of the season, then my word, finding that fire again and winning these big games and walking away with, say it quietly, a treble or maybe even a double, then yeah, he's got to prove that he can get that team motivated again. Because ever since the Bayern Munich game, that team has just been allowed to phone it in, and we've even obviously reduced our squad in terms of the quality as well. But again, we've been over that now. We reap what we sow. We got what we deserve through the week, and yeah, that's it. But anyway, before we go, because that's an hour and 25 we're coming up to now, the dreaded predictions. Here we go. Oh, Jesus. Okay, Liam, how do you think it's going to go on Sunday?
I said at the beginning of the show we were going to look at all sorts of stuff. One of them was patterns. If you go with this season's patterns, St Mirren 1-0, right? Then we're on 2-0, then 3-0. I'm saying 4-0.
I knew you were going to. I knew where this was going. Oh boy, 4-0 to Celtic. Okay.
Greg Taylor hat-trick.
I love your thinking, Liam. That's brilliant. I love your thinking.
I would absolutely love it. I would love that. I think we all would love it. I mean, let's be honest, every one of us would absolutely love that. I mean, yeah, I saw something floating out on Twitter as well. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, and then our next game is against Rangers. Will it be 4-0? Well, we'll wait and see. Johnny, how do you think it's going to go, mate?
It's a difficult one. It might depend on who we sign or don't sign, or who we sell or don't sell. I think we'll win. I'm gonna go. Okay. I'm not gonna go quite.
It's adventurous.
I'm not gonna go 4-0. I so hope you're right. I did predict 2-0 against Aberdeen the last time I was on. We done predictions. I think it's gonna be 2-0, and at least one of them from a corner.
Okay, you were saying earlier on, you're very determined about this corner. So I just hope before I do mine, let's get some from the chat. Let's see what people are saying. Liz Donald
went mad at 6-0.
Nothing. God. Jim Tyrrell says, "Fuck it, I've changed my mind. 6-2 Celtic." Well, there's a famous scoreline.
There's a nice result.
Liz Donnelly says 3-0. Sligo Boy says 1-2. So I'm guessing that will be, obviously, with the scores written, there's been the away team. It must be 1-2. So it is. Patrick McLaughlin says 2-0. Ali saying 3-1. Pato's saying 0-0. Okay. 4-0 from James Kennedy. Kane Dingle says 1-1. Robert Duck saying 3-0. Green Day 2-0. Timmy Binder is 6-0. Yeah, I'm gonna be a big shite bag, guys. I'm gonna say it's gonna end a draw. I think it's destined to end a draw. I don't want it to be a draw. Obviously, I want Celtic to win, but I just feel like the way things are going, I just feel like it's going to be Rangers have drawn all their games 1 each. Wouldn't be surprised if it was 1 each again. But see, I would also like to
win. Liam, he's using your theory. He's using your tactic.
I'm using your tactic. Obviously, I want Celtic to turn up and win. I know people in the chat will say, I don't want to draw. You know, I want to win. But obviously, I want to win as well. But I just feel like how it's going to go. I just have this feeling it's going to be a bit of a non-event game and a draw in the end. But hey, I hope I'm coming on the post-match with Terry at the end of it and we're talking about a win. I really do, but I just feel like it'll end in a draw, which I say it's still very, very early in the season, and it's definitely not a disastrous result by any means, given where both squads are. But I get your rationale, Liam, that we want Brendan to go and prove that he can get the fire in the belly and get these big results. But I just think I just feel like it's going to happen. It's just going to be like a pretty meh draw. But I say, I hope I'm wrong and I hope Celtic come away with the win. But anyway, we'll end it at that, folks. And yeah, next time we'll be the post-match on Sunday after the game. Terry will be along again in the hosting chair. And I'll, because it's an away game, I can jump on and obviously join him and help him out. Because he's still learning, obviously, with the Kinect views and all the different buttons. Obviously, last week, Liam, you and Terry tried. I actually cut out the 12 minutes or so that you had with your internet. It just decided to be dreadful, which was funny because I said to me and David Logue were talking about this, and it was like ironic. The 1 week that me and David weren't available to jump on and help out, to try and bring things under control, your internet, where you're usually reliable on a Friday night, everything works perfectly. And of course, Sod's Law, we're not available, and it went to pot. So I actually went on and used the little editor tool on YouTube when it just took out, like, I guess from the 28th minute to the 42nd minute, you were just in and out. So I just went, do you know what? Just take the whole section out because it was carnage. So yeah, it's hopefully in future episodes, everyone's internet's fine. But we're at the mercy of our internet connections. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad.
Sometimes you end up in the cutting room floor. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But I should be. Me and Terry will be on at the very least anyway. Hopefully we're not getting the war helmets on again, the flame shields up like Tuesday night. But I still think we handled it okay, all things considered. But yeah, I really hope we're not coming on to talk about a devastating result and another mediocre performance. Hopefully it's a Celtic victory. But yeah, we'll head off now, folks. Thanks to Johnny and thanks to Liam for joining me. Thanks to everyone in the chat as well. On the way out, mind and hit the old like button and do all the good stuff and everything else in between to help the channel out. And yeah, we shall see you on Sunday for the post-match show on the bus home. And come on, Celtic on Sunday. Get it done. And we will catch you later, guys. See you.
See you later.